Hi, I'm Greg, and welcome to My Gregarious World. Please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you'd like to follow our 30-day adventure in Rome. Your comments and questions are always welcome in the comment section below. We left the condo just before 6 a.m. on day 5 of our adventure in Rome, hoping to arrive early to two of the most crowded tourist attractions in Rome. Our first destination was Trevi Fountain. We arrived about 6:15 a.m. and were surprised by the number of people already there. Others must have had the same idea as us. Still, we were happy to have arrived early enough to avoid the huge tour groups. We took the obligatory photos of us posing in front of the fountain. We even brought a selfie stick, and of course, we had to toss our coins in the fountain. When we were in Rome in 2018, the fountain was being cleaned, so there was no coin tossing opportunity. We returned in 2019 to try again, and as you can see, I didn't do it correctly. I guess you just don't toss the coin into the fountain. There's a special way to do it. I was instructed to have my back facing the fountain and throw it over my shoulder. So now, in 2023, I was sure I'd do it correctly. Only I didn't realize that I had to hold the coin in my right hand and toss it over my left shoulder. I guess I'll have to come back to Rome again and give it another try. My wife tossed her coin correctly, so she can stay home. We stayed at the fountain for about 20 minutes and then made our way to the Spanish Steps for more photo opportunities. It was a short walk to the Spanish Steps, and we again passed by the column of the Immaculate Conception. This time, however, we didn't see the chestnut vendor. There were very few people around, so we thought it would be a good time to take a few photos there as well. Then, at about 6:45 a.m., we arrived at the Spanish Steps. At the base of the steps, we saw the Fontana delle Barcaccia, Fountain of the Old Boat, or Leaky Boat. This is one of the smaller fountains in Rome, and the water flowing gently from it is potable. The fountain was designed by Bernini's father, Pietro, but it is believed it was actually a collaboration between father and son. The last time we were at the Spanish Steps was in September 2018. In 2018, there wasn't a huge crowd, but it was still early, around 10 a.m. when we were there. People were sitting on the steps, enjoying their day, taking photos. In the famous movie Roman Holiday, Audrey Hepburn was filmed eating gelato on these steps. Today, there are security guards that will scold or even fine you if you are seen sitting or eating on the Spanish Steps. Since we were there early in the morning, no guards were there to reprimand us, and we took photos sitting on the steps. If you want to get a photo sitting on the steps, come very early before the crowds and the guards arrive. And if you visit in the early spring, you will have a special opportunity to see the flowering azaleas on the steps. We were there on May 6th, so the azaleas were near the end of their peak bloom, but it still made for colorful photographs. Trinita dei Monti is the church that towers over the Spanish Steps. There are 135 steps to climb to get to the top. In front of the church is the Sallustiano obelisk, a Roman replica of an Egyptian obelisk. Although the church was closed, the stunning view from the balcony overlooking the square and the skyline of Rome below was worth the climb. After descending the steps, we caught sight of the Keats Shelley House, a museum dedicated to British poets. It's located at the base of the steps, in the home of where John Keats lived and died. After accomplishing our goal of seeing Trevi Fountain and the Spanish Steps before the crowds arrived, it was time for an Italian breakfast. We didn't see any cafes nearby that were open, but McDonald's was. So we went into the first McDonald's in Rome, near the Spanish Steps, and each ordered a cappuccino and shared a Nutella cornetto. The cappuccino was freshly made and served in a ceramic cup. The cornetto was stuffed full of warm, gooey Nutella. Everything was so delicious, and the cost was only €3.50. Just a few steps away from McDonald's in the Spanish Steps is the Basilica of Sant'Andrea della Frate. Of course, we wanted to see the famous Bernini angels there, but the church is also known for its dome by Borromini and the apparition of the Madonna del Miracolo. Immediately upon entering the church, I saw the Bernini angels displayed prominently, one on each side of the main altar. Bernini designed 10 of these angels, each holding a symbol of Christ's passion. The 10 angels were to be placed on the bridge leading to the Castle Sant'Angelo. Bernini sculpted only 2 of them, the angel holding the crown of thorns and the angel holding the superscription. The other 8 were sculpted by his students. After completion, the 2 sculptures by Bernini were thought to be too beautiful to expose to the elements, so replicas were made for the bridge, and after Bernini's death, the originals were donated to the church. The dome was designed by the architect Bernini, and as you look up, the fresco gives the impression you are gazing into heaven. The third chapel on the left is dedicated to the Madonna of the Miracle. In 1842, an apparition of the Virgin Mary appeared here to a young Jewish man, leading him to immediately convert to Catholicism. To honor this visitation, the benches in the church do not face the main altar, but rather they face the chapel dedicated to the Madonna of the Miracle. We walked to Piazza Barberini and passed the Triton Fountain, another work by Bernini. This is a beautiful fountain located in the middle of Barberini Square. The Neptune-themed fountain provides a great photo op with the rest of the square as a backdrop. Not far from Barberini Square was the Palazzo Barberini, a palace that now houses the National Gallery of Ancient Art. It was still very early in the day, so the museum was closed, but we walked around the grounds and admired the exterior of the palace. Karen and I continued on to the Basilica di San Vitale in Fovia. We could tell it was a very old church because it was situated well below street level. There were stairs taking you down to the entrance. The church is small but very beautiful. The ceilings are coffered wood, and the frescoes surrounding the altar have some gruesome depictions, such as early martyrs being beheaded, buried alive, or fed to the lions. We cautiously crossed the traffic-congested road by the Piazza della Repubblica and Fontana delle Neadi, Republic Square and Fountain of the Naiads. You can't miss the huge Fountain of the Naiads, the focal point of the square. But we were headed to see the Basilica of St. Mary of the Angels and Martyrs, located adjacent to the square. The basilica was built according to plans drawn by Michelangelo. It was his last project, and he ingeniously repurposed the ruins of a Roman bathhouse into this enormous basilica. There was a solar median line inside that was used to confirm the accuracy of the Gregorian calendar and predict the exact dates on which Easter would fall. Easter is celebrated on the Sunday following the first full moon after the spring equinox. Oh, and you won't miss the impressive pipe organ. It's huge. On our way to the Basilica of Santa Maria della Vittoria, we stopped by the Fountain of Moses. The water here is potable, so it's a good place to quench your thirst or fill a water bottle. We arrived at the Basilica knowing it had become a popular tourist attraction since it appeared as the third marker on the path of illumination in the novel and movie Angels and Demons. We saw the movie before we left for Rome, but were mostly interested in seeing the Ecstasy of St. Teresa by a young Bernini. The church was beautiful, and in spite of the cameras and crowds, we had an amazing view of Bernini's masterpiece. We had planned to see the nearby church of Santa Susanna, the church built on her home in the place where she was martyred. But it was closed and we never made it back. However, right next door was a church we hadn't planned on seeing, the Church of San Bernardo alle Terme. It is a small church with a beautiful dome ceiling and oculus reminiscent of the Pantheon, but on a much smaller scale. We didn't stay long because there was a class of art students using the ceiling as inspiration, but it was worth a brief stop. On our way back to the condo, we noticed a church we passed by earlier in the day when it was closed. This time, we found San Carlo alle Quattro Fontane open. It's located in the area where the 4 fountains are found, a fountain on every corner of the intersection. The first thing I noticed were the ceilings, simple and white. To the right of the altar, there is a hallway leading to a small cloister as well as a crypt. We paid a small entrance fee to go down into the crypt, My favorite part about exploring these old churches is when there is an area to explore under the church. Sometimes it's a bit spooky, but you see the most interesting things there. At one time, it was the architect Bernini's wish to be buried in the vault of this church, since this was his first independent commission. But at the time of his suicide, the church was not yet completed, and he requested in his will to be buried elsewhere. Make sure not to miss visiting the picturesque cloister with a small well at the center. It's located off the hallway leading to the crypt. It's been a long day and we're hungry. We bought a variety of pizza slices from La Prezzemolina, a pizzeria located just steps from our condo. When paired with a homemade salad, it made for an easy and delicious dinner. See you next time. Please hit the subscribe button so you'll be notified when Day 6 in Rome becomes available. Highlights of Day 6 include Rome's famous rose garden, several basilicas, and a homemade pasta dinner.